Welcome back to One Stop Law. In our previous lecture, we studied about the definition of misrepresentation as given under Section 18 of Indian Contract Act 1872. We also looked into the essential requirements of misrepresentation. What are the three methods by which misrepresentation is done under the Indian Contract Act? And we closed our previous discussion by studying an example of misrepresentation. In this lecture, we will look into the consequences of misrepresentation, and we will do also a very famous case study on misrepresentation, and we will sum up misrepresentation in general. So let's get started with the video. Now, if we just try to sum up misrepresentation, it is making a false statement, honestly believing it to be true, or which the maker himself does not know to be false. It also includes non-disclosure of a fact or facts without any intent to deceive the other party. So, the example I gave you regarding that car, non-disclosure of the fact that if A had said that the car had met with an accident, maybe B would not have bought that car. So non-disclosure of a material fact also amounts to misrepresentation, but it should be a genuine non-disclosure without any intention to deceive, an innocent non-disclosure. So Section 18 of the Indian Contract Act says misrepresentation is a form of an untrue statement of a fact made by one party which affects, very important, is the other party's decision to correspond to a contract. Okay, it is about giving an inaccurate information by one party or their agent. So basically inaccurate information means an unwarranted statement, unguaranteed statement to the other before contract is made, with which induces them to make the contract. Involves a breach of duty on the part who does not verify the truth, where the first party had no intention to deceive the later. Very important is this absence of intent to deceive, and that is why misrepresentation is called innocent fraud. So apart from that intention, you see, there is nothing dissimilar between fraud and misrepresentation. It's about making a false statement or an untrue statement, or concealing the truth. The only deciding factor, distinguishing factor, is this intention. In fraud, you do that intentionally with an intention to cheat someone, to deceive someone, whereas in misrepresentation this is completely innocent and without any intention to cheat or deceive anyone. Let us look into a very important landmark case law on misrepresentation. It is on Derry versus Peak 1889 case. What happened in this case? A company's prospectus contained a representation that it had statutory powers to run its tramways by steam, provided that the government of the country gives consent to it. The directors issued a prospectus stating therein that the company had the right to use steam power. When they issued this prospectus, actually they honestly believed that the permission for the use of the steam power would be granted. But what happened later on? The permission was refused and the company was then wound up. It was held by the court that the directors in this case were guilty of misrepresentation and not fraud. Why? Because when the directors of that company issued that prospectus, they genuinely believed that they will get the permission from the government to run those steam engine, okay, to use that steam power. So when they issued that prospectus, they honestly believed that they will get that consent, that permission from the government. So the court held that here maybe the directors have made a misstatement in their prospectus that they have the power, but they did not do it with any intention to deceive anyone. They honestly believed they had the power, they will get the power. Okay, so this is a very important case where it was held that fraud is more dangerous to misrepresentation, and here in this case it was kind of distinguished what is fraudulent misrepresentation and what is innocent misrepresentation. So in this case the court held that this was an innocent misrepresentation done by the directors of the company. Finally, if we look into the consequences of misrepresentation, we see that it is provided under section 19. We all know that a contract is voidable. This I am teaching you from my first video on free consent, that where consent to a contract is caused by coercion, undue influence, fraud or misrepresentation, the contract is voidable at the option of the party whose consent was so obtained. Voidable means the party can go to the court any time and get it declared void. But what all other remedies are available to a person under a contract where it is caused by misrepresentation? Number one, he can avoid or rescind the contract. That is, very simple. He can go to the court and get the contract declared void or get it cancelled. Or number two, the other remedy is that he can accept the contract but insist that he shall be placed in the position in which he would have been if the representation made had been true. So basically here it is talking about that he may insist that I will go on with the contract, okay, but what was promised to me should be given to me. So I gave you two examples. One was, A selling a car to B, which was promised to be, damage free or without any accident. In the second case, we learned A sold a mare to B, claiming it to be sound. So the second remedy can be B can carry on with the contract, okay, but he may ask for a sound mare, give me a sound mare, or give me a car which had never met with an accident or which is not damaged. Now, why in this video I gave so much stress on the difference between fraud and misrepresentation? Another major difference between them in terms of remedy is that in case of fraud, because there was an active intention to deceive, to cheat someone, there the party who was so deceived or on whom the fraud was committed has a right to go to the court and claim for additional damages, okay. When he avoids this contract, he can actually ask for additional damages. Why? Because there was an active intention to cheat him. In this case of misrepresentation, because this intention to cheat is absent, the wronged party, the party who has been misrepresented, can go to the court and get the contract declared void, okay, and to be restituted, but he can never ask for damages. Why? Because there was no intention to cheat him, okay. In IPC also you have known that mens rea is very important, guilty intention is very important for any kind of punitive measures. So giving damages is actually, punishing the person. You have to pay out of your pocket. In case of misrepresentation, because that guilty intention to deceive was missing, party who is so misrepresented cannot claim for damages. He can ask for restitution, he can ask for the contract to be declared void, or he can ask even for, to be put him as was promised to him in a position like give him that sound mare or an undamaged car, but he can never ask for damages. So this is all about misrepresentation. I will see you in the next lecture, which we will do on mistake, the last element which vitiates free consent to a contract. Till then, thank you all.